Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into a fitness technology that makes a very bold promise: to melt fat from your most stubborn areas. It's called HYPOXI, and it involves a combination of light exercise and some pretty high-tech vacuum pressure.
But that right there, that's the big question, isn't it? Can you really tell your body where to burn fat from? We're going to dive into the world of vacuum pressure training and see if the science actually backs up the claims. So first things first, let's talk about the incredible results HYPOXI says it can deliver. It's a really powerful pitch because it targets a frustration that, let's be honest, a lot of us have felt.
So what is this thing exactly? At its core, HYPOXI is a patented method where you do some very light cardio, think easy cycling or walking, but you're doing it inside a special machine that's applying alternating vacuum and pressure to your body. The whole idea is that this unique combo is the secret sauce for targeting fat in specific spots, like your stomach, hips, and thighs.
And, the marketing is super compelling. They're talking about targeted fat loss, visible results in just 4 weeks, and a major reduction in cellulite. The biggest selling point? It's all framed as being completely safe, natural, and non-invasive. No surgery, no needles.
And here is their biggest, boldest claim, the number that catches everyone's eye. They say the average user loses about 28 centimeters in circumference in just 4 weeks. Just to put that into perspective for you, that's roughly a full dress size. That is a dramatic and, let's face it, a very appealing number.
Okay, so how on earth is a machine supposed to do that? Let's get into the nitty-gritty of the process they say makes it all happen.
A session is pretty unique. You climb into this chamber-like device, and you're wearing a special neoprene suit that creates this airtight seal around you. For the next 30 minutes, you're just doing some light cardio, like pedaling a bike. But here's the twist. While you're pedaling, the machine is switching between a vacuum, or low pressure, and then back to normal pressure. The theory behind it all is that this constant pressure change massively boosts blood flow to those stubborn, fatty areas, which supposedly makes it way easier for your body to grab that specific fat and burn it for energy.
Okay, the theory sounds kinda plausible, right? But what does the actual science say? I mean the independent, peer-reviewed research. The company has its own studies for sure, but we really need to look at the whole picture.
And this is where things get interesting. When you put the company's evidence side by side with independent research, you start to see a pretty big gap. On one hand, the company points to its own studies that show really impressive circumference loss. But on the other hand, when independent scientists look at this stuff, they often find that the studies are small, they don't last very long, and, crucially, they don't properly control for things like diet. And when you look at the wider research on vacuum therapy for cellulite, the science suggests that any improvement you see is often just temporary, caused by a little bit of swelling in the tissue, not actual fat reduction.
And here's a really important point from a regulatory perspective. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, is crystal clear on this. They state that these types of non-invasive body contouring devices are for cosmetic purposes. They do not cause weight loss or treat obesity.
All of this really boils down to one huge, long-standing idea in the world of fitness: the concept of spot reduction, the belief that you can target fat loss from one specific part of your body.
Well, the scientific consensus on this is absolutely overwhelming. A massive review of studies in 2021, which looked at data from over 1,100 people, came to a very clear conclusion. Training the muscles in one specific area has zero effect on the fat lying on top of it. It's why doing 1,000 crunches won't specifically burn your belly fat.
This isn't some new discovery. Scientists have been debunking spot reduction for over 50 years. Way back in 1971, a classic study looked at tennis players and found they didn't have less fat in their dominant arm, even though they used it way more. Fast forward to 2007, a trial had people train just one arm for weeks. And guess what? The fat loss was the same across their entire body. And today, places like Harvard Health continue to say the exact same thing.
So here's the key thing to understand. When you exercise, your body needs fuel. It gets that fuel by breaking down fat from your fat stores, but it pulls that fat from all over your body into your bloodstream. It doesn't just take it from the area you happen to be working. Think of it like a car's gas tank. The engine pulls gas from the whole tank, right? It can't decide to only use the gas from the left side of the tank. Your body's fat stores work in pretty much the same way.
Okay, so let's put all the pieces together. What does all this mean for someone who's looking at that 28-centimeter promise and is thinking about trying HYPOXI? Let's summarize everything and get to the bottom line.
So here's the final breakdown.
That claim of targeted fat loss, it runs headfirst into a wall of scientific evidence that says spot reduction is a myth. The idea that it improves cellulite, well, it seems that might just be a temporary cosmetic effect, probably from minor swelling. And as a weight loss tool, well, the FDA is clear on that, and any real, lasting fat loss is almost definitely coming from the diet and exercise plan that people follow alongside the sessions, not from the machine itself.
So, what does work? Well, decades of solid research consistently point back to these same foundational principles. It's about creating a calorie deficit through what you eat, getting regular cardio, building and maintaining muscle with resistance training, and maybe most importantly, developing habits that you can actually stick with for the long haul.
Now look, this isn't to say something like HYPOXI is completely useless. If paying for sessions gets you in the door, if it keeps you accountable, if it motivates you to eat better and move more, then yeah, it can absolutely be a helpful piece of a bigger fitness plan. But the evidence strongly suggests it shouldn't be seen as the magic bullet or the main strategy for fat loss.
Ultimately, this whole investigation leaves us with a bigger question to think about. We're all looking for smarter, faster, more efficient ways to reach our goals. But this really reminds us to ask ourselves a fundamental question on our own health journeys. When it comes to the hard work of getting healthy, are there really any shortcuts? Thanks for joining us on The Explainer.